Happy New Year, everybody. In this video, we will cover the chaos unfolding in Minnesota as the theft of taxpayer money has now become a rallying cry of the left wing in our country. If you can make it make sense, please do. Welcome to the Deep End on Tim Hatch Live.
This is the Deep End.
Okay, I'm going to play my cards right out. I'm going to lay them right on the table tonight, and I'm going to say this right off the bat. Christians cannot support the actions of Renee Goode. Christians cannot support the actions of one now sadly deceased, Renee Goode. If you don't know who this woman is, stay tuned. I would tell you who she was. This is a woman who tragically lost her life while protesting to protect criminal aliens who are presently defrauding the government, breaking our laws in Minnesota, amongst other things. And that's the news cycle that we're in now. That's the news cycle. New year, crazier news. So it all started with this kid. This is Nick Shirley. He is a 21-year-old YouTuber. And he's got a hoodie on, like myself tonight. And he posted a video on his YouTube page, and I think all over his social medias, exposing the millions of dollars of fraud that have been channeled through Somali-run daycare centers in the heart of Minneapolis, Minnesota. This went on social media, blew up, got him millions of views, reposts from people like Elon Musk, and it's now led to an investigation from the federal government. Watch.
Here in Minnesota, massive fraud is taking place within the government and the Somali population. Here, this building alone, Quality Learning Center, is a daycare, yet they spelled learning wrong, and they said leering. This daycare alone in 2025 has received $1.9 million from the government. And the strange things about these childcare centers is there's no one here right now. It's midday on a weekday. And if you were to try to go inside, it's completely closed and the windows are all blacked out. No one's working, midday, children should be in here, and this place is licensed for 99 children, and this is the outside. There's no windows, no nothing, and like I said, they literally spelt the word wrong on their sign. This is open and blatant fraud taking place here inside of Minnesota. The government is complicit with this, and this is just one of the hundreds of child daycare centers here inside of Minneapolis being ran by the Somali population. It's sad that it's happening here in Minnesota, and it stinks that it's happening and it's being labeled on the Somali population. However, that's just the facts of what's happening here inside of Minnesota. $1.9 million for this daycare center that can't even spell learning right.
Yikes. So chatter about the fraud spread like wildfire on X, and many were appalled, rightly so, at this blatant theft of taxpayer dollars. This is your money, okay? Or Minnesotans' money, and federal money too. We'll get to that in just a moment. Being basically laundered through daycare centers that do not even appear to operate in reality. So everyone took a side, as we all do in America. Everything is a political hot-button issue, and a lot of people check, what side is Trump on? I'm on the opposite side. CNN defended the daycares by claiming that to call and ask the daycares. This was CNN's coverage. They called the numbers on the signs and said, "Are you a legitimate daycare?" That was CNN's investigative journalism, and they only got one of the centers to respond with a yes to that question, even answer the phone. So everyone else with the brain is saying, maybe something is not right here. Anyway, this is a big problem. That not only did Nick Shirley show that, but there's all kinds of things popping up on social media, such as pictures like this. And if you can go on Google Maps and you can street view this, and you can see that in this situation, on this block, in that building, that shuttered building, okay, you have multiple daycare centers. One of those is an adult daycare center. And these three centers, Teo Daycare, Nuna Daycare Center or Child Care Center, and Getty Adult Daycare, licensed for 90 kids, 71 kids, and 65 adults, received almost, what is that number? 5.16 plus 2.58, almost $8 million from the government. It is news like this, friends, that numbs you to the problems of our government. And why do I say the problem is the government and not the Somalis? Because the government are the ones who have enabled this fraud to take place. The federal government basically had open borders for 4 years. Democrats ran on funding daycares. You got to do the research. This is what happened. Democrats ran on funding daycares, starting more daycares. Child care is a big issue on the left. And hundreds of $millions flowed through Biden's Build Back Better program. Blue states helped enable the activity of questionable and unaccountable people, and the rest is history. And not just in Minnesota. Over 40 daycares in Columbus, Ohio opened up on the same day in 2024 through a shell company run by Somalis and collected $14 million in subsidies in that year alone. Daycares, by the way, for children, check this picture out again, with no playground, misspelled words on signs, and shuttered windows. Nothing to see here, folks. By the way, it was not just Nick Shirley who investigated this. One of the news channels in Minnesota, this guy here, Jay Coles, from a local Channel 5 affiliate, did his own research. Here's what he found in December of 2025.
I started by visiting Quality Learning Center Daycare,
So it is that 14B.
which sits right in the heart of downtown Minneapolis. Between 2019 and 2023, the Minnesota Department of Human Services found 95 violations at this location. They range from failure to keep hazardous items away from children to no records for 16 children, which include things like immunizations, emergency contacts, and medical needs. So state investigators placed Quality Learning Center on a conditional license in 2022. I went to the daycare's location several times, and only once did I see people there.
Oh, that's your daycare.
But I did not see any children.
So there are 80 kids in there?
Yeah, so no kids in the daycare, shuttered doors, nobody can get in. You call the number, no one answers. Yikes. Again, where did the money come from? Glad you asked. Here we go. Here is Dr. Jill Biden, the former First Lady. And this is a fantastic find from Maze on X. You have got to follow Maze on X. The Build Back Better program was basically the funding agent for these Somali daycares. Watch
Biden
this.
highlighted major investments in childcare through the American Rescue Plan. Billions of dollars in funding have helped states like Minnesota keep healthcare and childcare providers open and boost pay for childcare workers during the pandemic. First Lady says there's still more work to be done, though.
The challenges families face didn't just start with COVID-19, and we need fundamental changes if we hope to build back better than before.
More than 130,000 child care providers across the country have received federal funding. Last year, the state of Minnesota received more than $500 million to help the child care industry. During her visit, Joe Biden also made a pitch for universal preschool.
Why do they always want to do this? Why do they always want our kids? And then why do we want to constantly pay for this to happen? Why does the government always want our kids in school paid for by tax dollars? You got to ask yourself that question. By the way, this is why Christians should be small government people. Small government people, I believe, is the Christian thing to do. I'm a pastor. I've studied these things. People say, pastors, don't get involved in politics. Well, who do you want to hear politics from? Don't you want to hear from somebody who studies the word? When you read the Bible, do you see government being your friend? Do you see the government at any moment in the Bible? Start with Pharaoh. Fast track right through Babylon, right through. Even Israel becomes the government. That's the problem at some point. For 400 years, actually, it deteriorates the nation of Israel. Then you got Babylon, then you got Persia, then you got Greece, and then you got the Roman Empire, who puts Christ to death on the cross. Then you got the one world government in Revelation. That's also a problem and persecutes God's people. We want to see government limited. This is a very Christian ideal. Now, of course, you say, Build Back Better money goes in, illegal immigrants flood the country. Suddenly, Democrats are now running to make sure that illegal immigrants can stay in the country and fighting for them and getting people riled up to make sure that ICE doesn't do its job in deporting them. Now, of course, I'm not saying that this is some kind of federally mandated laundering scheme to funnel millions of dollars into the coffers of the Democratic political action committees. I'm not saying these funds were written into a spending bill with the expressed intent to simply funnel it back into those who wrote the bill and passed it. I'm not saying that, but I'm kind of thinking that. And even thinking that, that's bad enough. All of this led to the showdown last week. This broke, I think, on Thursday afternoon. A woman by the name of Renee Goode, Renee Nicole Goode from Minnesota, 37 years old, decided to attend one of the protests of ICE agents doing their job, arresting people for deportation. Now, listen, let me just say something about this deportation movement from the Trump administration. You may not like it. You may be on the other side of that issue. But here's the facts. Trump ran on this. It was number one of all of his issues. And a lot of people voted for him based on that. And he won the popular vote and he won the electoral college vote. And he is now the president-elect. And so for him not to do what he said he was going to do would, of course, lose him the support of his voter base. Again, you don't have to like it, but this is what is going on, and he has chosen to implement the policy positions on which he ran. That is actually one thing that Trump kind of does do. He actually does what he says he's going to do when he runs for office. So this interaction went down, and the first video that was released is this following video of some bystander recording the incident between Renee Goode in her SUV and a federal ICE agent. Watch. So there's the ICE agents getting out of the truck. There she is in her maroon SUV. They're asking her to get out. She puts it in reverse, puts it in forward. 3 shots fired. The ICE agent was almost run over. And this also has become a big political hot potato. Choose your side and stick with it. Now, when you look at that video at first, you say, maybe the ICE agents were in the wrong here. Maybe he actually wasn't standing in front of the vehicle and she turned her wheel. And there's just enough gray area, isn't there? There's just enough gray area to make this a big controversial issue. Okay, the Bible is always our help. Proverbs 18:17 says, the one who states his case first seems right until the other comes in and examines him. Now, this is the reason why I bring up that passage, because there are other angles that have been released regarding this incident. This following angle shows that the ICE agent was clearly in front of her vehicle when she decided to shift into forward and almost seemingly target the officer. Watch. There he is. Boom. He gets hit, by the way. You can see it. He gets hit by the SUV. Can you see it? Gets hit by the SUV. There's another angle. Here's a bystander showing that she was actually at the location for several minutes before the interaction took place. I'm going to turn this down. And she was waving the officers by, but she did not move. She did not respond to their orders. Rest is history. You can see now, watch. I don't know if this is going to go all the way there. No, that's not going to go. But then this video was released late last week. And this one shows the blatant disrespect of officers in uniform ordering Mrs. Goode or Miss Goode to step out of her vehicle. And you can see she's not afraid. And you can see that they've been taunting. They're going to get taunted by her quote-unquote wife. Watch. There she is. Now, this person coming into the frame is her wife.
It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen.
Now listen that the wife, quote unquote, is going to say, "Run, babe, run." Listen for it. Listen for this. This is the key to the incident. Did you hear it? Boom. Did you hear her say it? Run, babe, run. Let me see if I can go back. Let me see if I can go back to just before the incident. Pay attention. There it is. Run, babe, run. That woman is in trouble. I think she's in major trouble. She basically encouraged Ms. Goode to put her car into forward and hit the police officer. You cannot support this. You cannot support this. By the way, a couple more facts about Ms. Goode. She was supported by her mother on several occasions. She had late bills that were paid by her mother. Understandable. She's a single mom. She has 1 child in her own custody, 2 children who live with her former husband. But what is not understandable is, why do you, a struggling single mom, spend time obstructing ICE officers in the middle of the street when you have kids to support? This is a pandemic in our country. People not growing up and taking responsibility for themselves. Now she is the cultural hero of the political left. And let me give you the straight word on who she is. This is a woman, Renee Goode, who had children and decided to risk her own safety to insert herself into a tense and volatile situation on purpose to make a statement. To do what exactly? What's the goal here? Unfortunately, Renee Goode embodies the modern day liberal white woman 37 years old, one child in her custody, two child not, with different fathers, now in a lesbian marriage, living in Minneapolis, fighting for the rights of illegal aliens. She's a member of ICE Watch, a national coalition of activists dedicated to disrupting ICE raids. And she lost her life after dropping her kid off at school one morning to go obstruct federal officers doing their job. Friends, there's something seriously wrong with what's going on with young white women in this country. The situation is desperate. There's a report out from Pew in 2021. 58% of white liberal women are on a psychiatric medication. I think it's 58 or 51%. It's an astronomically high number. This is really, really bad. Now, got some news for you, got some facts, got some data. Here we go. The Fourth Amendment completely protects the officer's actions here, according to Seth Stoughton, professor of University of South Carolina School of Law. The Fourth Amendment protects him. That deadly force is, of course, only lawful to stop an imminent threat of death or serious bodily harm. He doesn't have to be under threat of death. That's an important qualifier. Only serious bodily harm. Shooting to stop a nonviolent fleeing suspect is unconstitutional. Force must be objectively reasonable. And then the threat, what does that require? Notice this. 3 things. The ability to cause serious harm, opportunity to do something immediately, and the intent to inflict that harm. Not death, harm. This is going to be an open and shut case. If he gets the right jury, we'll see. But this is going to play out for months going forward. By the way, that officer, Jonathan Ross, who shot Ms. Goode, was almost killed 6 months ago after he was dragged by a car while doing his job elsewhere in the country. Not only was he constitutional in what he did, by all accounts, but did you know that it was an action that was in lockstep with the Joe Biden administration policies under HHS regarding these interactions? I give you the language of the policy from Joe Biden's administration, a 2023 policy update that shows seeking to disable the vehicle itself is not the protocol when the officer's body or life is in danger. In other words, you don't shoot. There's a lot of commentators out there saying, why didn't you just shoot to disable the vehicle? That's not in the policy. The policy under Joe Biden, and by the way, signed by Alejandro Mayorkas right here on this memo for Homeland Security, says explicitly that that is not the primary option. He must protect himself by use of deadly force. You know it's bad when even CNN has forensic expert Mike Piazza on with Anderson Cooper stating explicitly that shots rang out only after contact was made with the ICE agent. Watch.
Well, the slowdown version is showing me that when the SUV pulls forward, they make contact with the agent in the street, and then immediately following that contact, you hear 3 gunshots follow.
So there's, according to you, you do not hear a shot before contact?
I do not. Not in this particular video. Absolutely not.
Okay. Tough row to hoe for CNN, who is just dying for social unrest, aka in 2020 under the Trump administration. You know it. They want it. They want the narrative to get out there. And you've got to be aware of this. We're not doing this again, friends. We are not falling for this nonsense. Again, that's why I'm talking about it. I was too late to the party with regards to Black Lives Matter, and I was pretty stinking early. Not enough pastors stood up and said what was true, and they left God's people in confusion. But this is, for some reason, there are agents of chaos in our cultural narrative that traffic in this nonsense, traffic in chaos, the rule of law being ignored. Renee Goode would be alive today if she had simply put the car in park and stepped out of her vehicle. She wouldn't have been arrested. They would have questioned her, and they would have released her because they wouldn't have had reasonable cause to arrest this woman. She could have shouted in their face. I've seen videos where they spit in these ICE agents' faces. I've seen so many examples of this. She had so many options. She took the worst one at the behest of her lesbian wife, quote unquote wife. Run, babe, run. Meanwhile, some people are ready to leap into action and cause a 2020 uprising all over again, including this leader of the Minneapolis BLM chapter.
This family should not wait for justice. And remember,
what does Black Lives Matter have to do with Renee Goode? I want to know.
Jamar Clark. We occupied a precinct for Jamar Clark. get justice for Jamar Clark.
What is this? Where is this narrative? Why do these people join forces? I don't get it.
After George Floyd, all of a sudden there were some charges. So for those who are on the media talking about, don't burn it down, don't set it on fire, let me tell you this, we need justice and we need it now.
So that's the plan. Set the city on fire again. Chaos again. Oh, and what's happening in the liberal churches of America? You will not believe this. The liberal churches, which are basically filled with elderly white women, liberal women, are hosting seminars for training people to not only resist ICE, but also film those who are being arrested by ICE. This is out of a liberal church in North Carolina. They're training people how to resist arrest by ICE and also film people who are being arrested by ICE. You've got to be kidding me. And then, of course, you have liberal Hollywood at the Golden Globes last night, and this guy, Mark Ruffalo, who never ceases to amaze me how low he can sink to pander to cultural chaos in our society. There he is wearing the pin on his lapel for Renee Goode. Friends, ICE agents are under attack all the time, and it's not acceptable. As Christians, we cannot get on board with this. As Christians, you can disagree with the policy positions of the Trump administration, should you so choose, regarding the deportation and even the way it's carried out. Perhaps you could do it better. Perhaps you could go after, I don't know, people in a much more quieter way. I don't disagree with that. However, you have to see both sides. You have to see both sides. And I only say this because you can only see one side on the news. And here's a video of Somalis in Minnesota harassing ICE as a result of this past weekend's events. These are just tense environments, chaos. Now, friends, I ask you, who is the agent of chaos in the Bible? It is the devil. The devil comes to seek, kill, destroy, and cause chaos. That's his MO. He is the anti-truth one. There is a narrative, there's a theological narrative that I hold to that you need to hold to. Jesus says in Luke, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Where did he fall from? When he was cast out of heaven because he rebelled against God in heaven with a third of the angels, where did he fall to? He fell to this earth. When did that happen? That happened before creation. That happened before God said, let there be light. And if you read the first chapter of the first book in the Bible, it says that the earth was formless and void, and there was chaos. There was void. There was emptiness on the earth. Why? Because it was the domain of Satan. And into that domain, God spoke, let there be light. And into that domain, God created man out of the dust of the earth and breathed in his nostrils the breath of life. And we are the agents against the agent of chaos. That through God's truth, we bring light, we bring knowledge, we bring righteousness, and we bring order in partnership with the Holy Spirit to the chaos of the devil. It's only getting worse for ICE, by the way. ICE attacks in 2025, 66 attacks compared to only 2 in 2024. That's a 3,200% surge. Federal immigration officers have also reported a 1,347% increase in assaults. Now, here's a good question. For all these protesters in Minnesota and elsewhere, who are they fighting for? Y'all know Kevin Sorbo? Well, this is his son, Braden. Braden Sorbo put this video out talking about who are the ICE protesters, the people who do not want ICE to do their job by arresting illegal criminals in this country and sending them back to their country or putting them in jail. Who are the ICE protesters fighting for? This is a fantastic video. Watch.
These are absolutely disgusting, and there's way too many to go over in a single video, so I'm just going to do the first couple on the list. Sridor Fabian, a Laotian illegal who has had a deportation order since 2018, was charged with strong-arm sodomy of a boy and strong-arm sodomy of a girl. Tufang was charged with sexual assault of a girl under the age of 13 and soliciting a child for that, has had a deportation order since 2006. The third Laotian on the list, Chong Vu, was arrested and charged with raping a 12-year-old girl and kidnapping a child with the intent to sexually assault them, has had a deportation order since 2004. Ji Yang, convicted of rape, strangulation, assault with a weapon, deportation order since 2012. Kao Lor, found guilty of rape, rape with a weapon, sexual assault of a child, deportation order since 1996. Hernan Cortez Valencia, sexual assault of a child, DUI, deportation order since 2016. The list goes on and on and on. There's several photos here, all with similar crimes, and this is who people are protesting to protect. This is who you want to keep in this country.
He is not wrong, friends. We have a problem when we advocate for criminals, because what happens is truth is cast into the street, as Isaiah said. Criminals such as this man who was arrested in Northern Virginia, sex offender, criminals like this Salvadorian illegal, previously arrested 10 times and charged with 19 crimes, including malicious shooting, unlawful wounding, use of a firearm in commission of a felony, and assault and battery. A man here from Afghanistan convicted of murder and assault. A man from Mexico convicted of child cruelty in New Jersey. An illegal alien from, it doesn't say where he's from. Oh, yes, the Dominican Republic, who was selling cocaine out of a Virginia barbershop. These are the people that the protesters are fighting for. That's all you need to know. Who is an agent of chaos? Who sides with an agent of chaos? Now, there's a chart floating around on the internet, too, that finds that the number 3 receipt of welfare in this country are those from Somalia at 71.9%. Not saying it's all of them, but it's a lot. Your tax dollars go to support them, and then they steal your tax dollars, and then they funnel it maybe to the politicians who pander most to them, such as, I don't know, Minnesota Mayor Jacob Frey, who put out a video speaking Somalian, encouraging people from Somalia to not even bother learning the language of the country that they moved to. Now, the scripture speaks to this in the time of Isaiah. Isaiah's ministry happened during a very faithless period in Israel's history. The nation was crumbling. Righteousness was nowhere to be found. And it starts, friends, in the halls of government. One thing when you read the Old Testament prophets that you have got to be aware of, that you will usually see, and I can go to Isaiah 1 right now, and you can go there if you want to later, but I'll just show you. This is something you've got to learn to read the prophets the way the prophets are meant to be read. Because the prophets can be dark, right? Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, very dark books. I've read through all of them. I've studied all their chapters, dark books. But they are always prefaced, like Isaiah chapter 1, with that the prophet is speaking in the time of certain kings who are on the throne. For instance, Isaiah 1:1, the vision of Isaiah, the son of Amoz, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. Number 1 addressee on the list in the book of Isaiah, and by the way, in other prophetic books, are the kings, the political leaders of the country. Because as go the leaders, so goes the nation. 2 of the darkest books in the Bible are 1st and 2nd Kings, and you see the deterioration, the rapid deterioration of the nation of Israel to the north and Judah to the south. And the book is called Kings for that reason, because the deterioration started in the halls of power. So it is absolutely essential that Christian leaders speak truth to political leaders. Biblical pastors must open their mouth. That's why I do this channel. That's why I do the Deep End. By the way, do you like the new Deep End swag? You can get a hold of this on our Deep End shop. You got to have pastors who are not afraid to challenge the political leaders of the day and speak out truth and righteousness. That's what Isaiah did. Isaiah chapter 1, right off the bat, just getting started. How the faithful city has become a whore. She who is full of justice, righteousness lodged in her, but now murderers. Your silver has become dross, your best wine mixed with water. Your princes are rebels and companions of thieves. Check that out. What are the princes? The leaders. They're companions of who? Thieves. Everyone loves a bribe. Everyone runs after gifts. They do not bring justice to the fatherless, and the widow's cause does not come to them. Isaiah 10. Woe to those who decree iniquitous decrees, and writers of those who keep writing oppression, to turn aside the needy from justice, and to rob the poor of my people of their right, that the widow may be their spoil, and that they may make the fatherless their prey. What is happening right now is that there is an underground movement, now an exposed movement, leveraging childcare and adult care, 2 of the most vulnerable members of society, for a money laundering scheme of your tax dollars into the coffers of political operatives who will fight on the behalf of the people who do not belong to this country. And Christians, we cannot be in support of that. We cannot stand for that. And when it happens, we have to call it out. There was a time when the Democrats were not like this. And I hate to say it, it's just the Democrats, but it just seems to be the Democrats that want to fight for this. I don't understand. There was a time when one of their key leaders, this guy. Anybody remember him? Used to fight for the people who were actually tax-paying members and citizens of this country. Why?
The Bush administration, has done nothing to control the problem that we have. We've had 5 million undocumented workers come over the borders since George Bush took office. It has become an extraordinary problem, and The reason the American people are concerned is because they are seeing their own economic position slip away. And oftentimes, employers are exploiting these undocumented workers. They're not paying the minimum wage. They're not observing worker safety laws. And so what we have to do is create a comprehensive solution to the problem.
No, you just needed to follow the law. The law was already in the books, and Trump proved that you did not need another law. You just needed to follow the law in the books. By the way, this was him in 2013 saying the same thing.
As we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable.
Does that seem like it's from another planet or a foreign country? That was the president, Obama, the Democrat darling. According to some on the left, the Messiah, saying the exact same thing that the Trump administration is fighting for right now. What happened? Who is in the pockets of these Democrat leaders to such an extent that they will literally sell you out, the American taxpayer, for people who do not even have any stake in this country? That is the end of that conversation. Decide for yourself. But now you know the facts. Now you have the receipts. And thank you in the comments. I see somebody. Thank you for the receipts. I do. I always try to bring the receipts. And let me tell you, we had to sift today. We had to sift because there's a lot of AI generated stuff. You got to watch out for it. There's a lot of fakes. There's a lot of news items that you can see getting online. Don't want it. We make sure we check the facts and we bring that to you. Let me change gears. This is a funny video my wife sent to me, and you're going to want to stay to the end of this video. You do not want to miss this. So she sent it to me just before I went live, and I had to put it in the show. This is for all the abortion is healthcare crowd. The argument for pro-life, you're going to see, is going to be made, this is glorious, by an abortionist healthcare advocate with her own mouth. Okay, now I will put the first frame up, and you will see that there's the bumper sticker, if you can read it, abortion is healthcare. Just watch what happens now. This is fantastic trolling by a brilliant person. I forget, his name's going to be up there, I think, on the reel. Watch. He's at the home of the person with that car and the bumper sticker.
Hi, how are you? Hi. I'm with the ASPCA, and we're just going door to door in the neighborhood asking people if they'd be willing to commit to a monthly donation.
Okay, maybe.
Okay, if I told you a little bit more about where your money would go, would that make you feel better?
Yes, it probably would.
Okay, so I'm with the Animal Rights Division, or the TARDS, and we're in charge of all of the health care for the animals that we serve. So 100% of your money would go to their health care.
Okay.
Is that something you might feel comfortable with?
Yeah, I probably would.
Okay, if you could just put your name here, an email address, and then where it says regarding or RE, just put TARDS. Okay. And so our biggest healthcare dilemma this year for the TARDS is there's just too many pups. So 100% of your money would go to help with the abortions of unwanted puppies.
Wait, what?
Yeah, to abort the unwanted pups, because there's just so many young puppies. It's basically pups having pups, and they can't afford to raise their litter, and it's just a financial burden. So what we do is we help with aborting unwanted puppies.
Oh, well, no. I'm not comfortable with that.
Okay, is that your black sedan out front with the bumper stickers?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you understand that abortion's health care?
Well, yes, but it's not. That bumper sticker isn't about animals.
What's it about?
It's about people.
Okay, so are you saying that a human baby in a womb is not worth as much as a pup in the womb?
No.
It's worth the same, right? So if it's
yes.
not okay to abort puppies, then it shouldn't be okay to do that to humans. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so abortion's not health care?
Well, I think I don't want to donate. I need to go. I need to go inside.
So would you agree then that abortion is murder?
Thanks for stopping by. You need to go.
Ma'am, but before you leave, can we still count on your $19 monthly donation for the next 12 months? I guess abortion is murder.
Man, that is fire. Get on Instagram, find that reel, share it everywhere, because that is phenomenal. From her own mouth, she went pro-life for a moment. Did you notice? She went pro-life for a moment. Yeah, I guess if it's not right to kill animals in the womb, it's not right to kill humans. But no, whoa. And then she was caught, and she knew she was caught. And because the fact of the matter is this, is that God has put eternity into the hearts of men. She knows it's wrong. Friends, understand this. No one's getting to hell because they didn't have enough information. No one. It's already there. It's written on our hearts. Romans chapter 1 says this also. It is the law of God is written on our hearts. Romans chapter 3 tells us this as well. No one goes to hell because they did not have enough information. No one has no excuse. She knows it's wrong. It is not that they are postulating a theory that they agree with. It is that it is God's word and they rebel and their hearts are darkened and they are dead in their sins and they are following the prince of the power of the air, Ephesians chapter 2. And that is why, if you are a Christian, you absolutely cannot ever be pro-choice. Period. And that is the show for the free content. If you got to join us for the extra content, join now. Help support what we do. It does cost money to put all this together. We do have a staff, and a great staff at that. Check us out over at patreon.com/10minuteslive right now, and you can get the extra content staying live with the Dependables just after this show. Bold as a Lion Designs is online right now. Check it out for some swag. You can also support us that way. But it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you guys tonight. I hope this has helped you, informed you, and hopefully blessed you. God bless. I'll see you soon.